stopwatch here, so I make sure I stay under 10 minutes. All right, thank you for everybody for joining us this morning. I actually want to start out by telling you a little bit of a story about what happens in basically every B2B software company. And I would make the argument that it's every single one of them. And if you've worked in one of these companies before, it should be somewhat familiar. You're going to go into a meeting one day and the salesperson is going to come in and say, I have this awesome new prospect. We're ready to sign. We've got everything figured out. They just need an integration to this one product that we don't have an integration to. Can we do it? And everybody else in the meeting is going to look at the product manager, because the product manager's job is to decide, what do we build next? What's after that? What's the schedule? We've got 100 things we want to build. We can fit 20 of them. What order does that happen in? So the product manager is like, all right, let's see what we can do. And they're going to qualify this with the salesperson. They're going to say, is this the most important thing we can be working on? We're working on this other mission critical feature. Would you rather have that or this new integration? And of course, because salespeople are salespeople, they're going to say they're both important. And if anybody has ever been a product manager, you understand the pain that answer brings you. So the product manager's going, all right, let's go talk to the developer. So we bring the developer in the room. Developer says, yeah, I can build that integration. It's going to take me a few weeks. And it means I'm not going to be able to ship that other critical feature that we're working on. So now the product manager has a problem because he has to make a trade-off decision about the integration to close the deal or the feature that everybody else was planning to have live this quarter or this week or this period, whatever that is. There's a version of this conversation that happens in a lot of other places in the business too. You're going to have your head of onboarding, who's the person whose team is responsible for getting people live on your product once they sign a contract, and say, hey, every time we onboard a customer and they're trying to do an integration at the same time, it gets hairy. It takes forever. We have a lot of problems. If we can simplify this, we can get more customers live faster. Can we do it? And your head of partnerships, who's out in the world making friends at trade shows and finding new people to go to business together, is going to say, hey, we signed this great new partner and we have all these new customers that we're going to try to close together, but we need an integration to their product. Can we do it? And the CEO, who's talking to analysts and talking to investors and out in the world trying to see what's going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years to make the company strategically viable, is going to say, hey, there's this other product out there that's really hot, and right or wrong, they think that we have to have an integration to it for us to be successful or we won't hit our revenue goals. And CEOs don't say, can we do it? CEOs just say, do it. And all of these lead the product manager to the exact same place where he or she has to make a trade-off decision about whether or not they build that integration or they build that other core feature that they're working on. Now, the fact of the matter is the integration is super critical for a B2B software company because it brings more revenue opportunity in the door. The faster you have integrations into market, the faster you're able to say yes to those customers that are in your pipeline or haven't come into your pipeline yet because they haven't researched yet, who absolutely have to have the integration for them to sign up for your product. Having more integrations reduces churn because you got to remember your customer, if you're a B2B software company, isn't just using your software. They're using dozens of other ones, and they're constantly changing those out and thinking about what's the next thing we're going to use. We're going to upgrade from QuickBooks to an ERP. We're going to upgrade from a spreadsheet to a real CRM. And if you're able to integrate to all of the options as they're evolving the rest of their portfolio, it reduces the possibility that they're going to leave your product if they're happy with it. Integration also creates competitive advantage for you as a software company. In any software ecosystem, it is a race to be the big boy on the block. There's going to be one, maybe a few hub technologies or core technologies that everybody looks to as the ones that are kind of leading the pack. The Salesforce, the Shopify, the HubSpot, the NetSuite, the companies like that. Your path to getting to being that dominant player in the ecosystem is more and more and more and more integrations. Bottom line, having integrations allows you to say yes to a lot more people, which means a lot more revenue opportunity. But the harsh reality about integration is that it's really, really hard to do. It's a specialized engineering discipline that most developers, most engineers, most software teams don't realize that they don't have the capability to do because they've never done it before. It's not just talking to an API. You actually have to understand how to engineer high availability, high volume data integrations so that you build reliable ones for your customers that don't go down, that don't cause a lot of problems. And that costs a lot of time and it costs a lot of money. Every dollar, every minute, every piece of brain you're putting towards thinking about an integration means you're not putting it towards your core product. It means you're not thinking about your marketing and getting your product out into the world. It means you're not hiring that next executive or that next salesperson because you're worried about integration. Now, having integration does introduce risk itself as well. There's obviously risk to not having it. You can't say yes to a bunch of people. But once you have the integrations, there's risk involved by making sure that they're up and running. You have to babysit them. You have to update APIs. So there's risk involved just in the ownership of it, which grows every single time you add another and another and another. But it's also absolutely necessary for you to have to take on all these problems because no B2B software company is successful without integrating to other software companies. And that's where we come in. Our goal as a company is to reduce the friction that integration causes a software company. In other words, we're helping software companies share their data with other partners in their ecosystem more quickly, more effectively, and more cost effectively. We do that through a few different means. One, we can offer consulting services where we can work with a software company to help them understand how to build, when to build, how much to spend, et cetera, when it comes to integration, and help them align their technology strategy for the integrations with their partnership strategy. And those usually are pretty part and parcel. We can actually deploy technology to do it for you. So we use both an open source product, and we just signed a partnership with a commercial product where we can take integration technology and kind of embed it in your software for you such that you get them out in a fraction of the amount of time and a fraction of the cost, way less maintenance costs than you would otherwise building them from scratch yourselves. And as we get off the ground here and really get our feet under us, we're going to start to develop products as well that complement that mission. That really our goal is to help make integration projects easier for everybody, make the experience of going through them easier. And again, reduce the cost, reduce the time, reduce the effort that goes into these things so that you can spend more time focusing on your core product and your core business. Today, we're targeting mostly B2B software companies in the verticals you see on the screen. That's partially because there's growth opportunity for all four of those verticals. There's a lot of things happening. I mean, just think about digital commerce in the COVID world. You've seen Shopify have an IPO. You've seen BigCommerce have an IPO. You've seen Magento get acquired. There's a lot of things happening in these spaces, so there's a lot of opportunity. And it's also where Rob and I happen to have a lot of background. But we're also looking to expand beyond this to insurance tech and fintech companies, potentially some healthcare tech companies, potentially some IoT. So we're looking for opportunities to broaden our horizons here about how we can solve this problem for software companies. And really, in any company that we talk to, it's sort of the same three-headed persona that we work with to make a deal and to ultimately solve the problem. And that's your head of product, usually a product manager, a CEO, something like that. Your head of engineering, person who runs the development team, typically a CTO, director of software development, a title like that, and the person who's in charge of business development and partnerships. And that's because those are the three people that are making decisions about how integrations are deployed, when they're deployed, what approach is taken to get them out there. And it's because they're also the three that have the biggest pain point when integrations don't exist or don't go well. So to step back, I'm going to talk a little bit about us as a founding team and kind of our background. I'll start with Rob, who is our connection to Dayton. He's a University of Dayton alumni from a while ago. He's our CTO. For a decade and a half, he's been delivering enterprise-level software solutions, mostly around marketing technology, content management, things like that. A lot of integration involved there because every single time you implement these enterprise technologies, you have to integrate them into a whole bunch of others. Recently, he's been freelancing, doing the work on his own, but prior to that, he has been a technical director at ICF Next, which is was a division of a big consulting company that delivered enterprise marketing technology solutions. The company that got acquired to become ICF Next is where we met and worked together for a few years. But since I left that company, I've been an executive for the last 6 years at a cloud integration software company that did integrations for mid-market e-commerce and retail merchants. So we did a lot of like Shopify to ERP integration and things like that. So we have a lot of experience in this space. We know the problem set very, very well because we've seen it over and over and over again, and we're really excited to actually be solving this problem different than we think a lot of companies have done before. To give you a little idea where we are so far in terms of traction, We did sign our first customer. We just started this fall and signed our first customer, kicked off that project this week. So we're very excited that we were able to get that done as quickly as we were. It's a big contract for us, and we're really excited to have that under our belt. That's a big win. We're working on building our sales pipeline because we're going to have work following on after that. So we're looking for more companies that we can talk to about these problems and try to help solve. We're also building our talent pipeline for 2021. We do anticipate that we're going to start hiring full-time employees next year, that we're going to have enough work that we can start actually growing the company here in Columbus. We did sign a partnership with an OEM integration provider, and I know that's kind of a big technical word, but really it just means we have a commercial piece of software that we can use as one of our options when we go into a software company and build out their integrations for them. We'll probably announce a little bit more about that down the road here, but it's one of the top integration providers according to Gartner and Forrester. It's a really powerful technology, so we're excited about that partnership as well. And then just in general, we're building out content assets. We're building out marketing collateral. I got at least a little bit of a website up and running. We're starting to put blog posts out there, get our social media accounts going, things like that. Just all the things you have to do to get a company off the ground. So it's a lot of work there, and we're cranking through as we go. And then we really appreciate everybody's time here today. And know we're supposed to end these with kind of an action item. We're not looking to raise money or anything, but there are two ways that everybody on the call here could help if you're interested in talking about any of these things with us. And the first is help us build our sales pipeline. We are interested in talking to any growth stage B2B software company. And I say growth stage because that's usually where these problems become most acute, when there's high expectations for revenue growth and everything's kind of new and doing things for the first time. Before you start building integrations, at least talk to us and talk about your strategy, and we'll see if we can help you do it a better way, or maybe we give you some advice, or maybe we just tell you you're on the right track. But that's a really good time for a software company to be talking to somebody like us. We're looking to work with legacy software companies who have maybe been around for a long time. Maybe they're not cloud native. They're on-premise, kind of older technology stacks, and they're looking to sort of refresh to be competitive in the cloud environment now. They're looking to have public APIs for their first time, or maybe they're migrating to the cloud and they're trying to figure out how to do all these things. We can help you get there. And then we're looking for VCs who want to support their portfolio companies. If you think about one of the most important things to a VC, it's capital efficiency of the dollars they've invested in a company. And if we can say take the $100 being invested in integrations today and either make that $100 go 3x as far as it did in terms of their integrations than it previously, or we can say, we'll bring that down to $50 and you'll get the same amount of integrations. We're just helping your companies be more capital efficient. And this is something that they're not going to have a lot of people out there helping them figure out how to do. So we would love to work with any VCs who are just trying to offer services or offer assistance to their portfolio. Any of those, you can email me, Ryan at BlendedEdge. Would love to talk to you, even if it's a short-term or a long-term need. Always interested in talking about these problems. Then the second thing is help us build our talent pipeline. We actually do have a very, very immediate need. And I mean, if you're interested in this, email Rob today. For a React developer to subcontract onto the current project we're working on. You'll get started here in a few weeks. We'd love to have somebody here locally or in Ohio who's willing to jump on here, and there probably is a good opportunity if that goes well and we're able to get some sales behind it, that might be our first full-time hire shortly down the road here. So if that's something you might be interested in working on with us, we can definitely talk about it. Email Rob. But we are overall looking to just build our team next year. In terms of developers, we're looking for full stack developers. We're looking for people who have a lot of different experiences who are good. If I had to pick a language or a stack, we'd probably say Node, React, and Docker, but that's probably not a hard rule. Likely, we're more going to be able to hire junior to mid-level developers rather than senior-level developers early, just because they cost less money. But anybody who's interested in talking to us, start building a relationship now. We'd love to start doing that. And then we're also going to be staffing what we call integration specialists, and that's people with like an MIS background or a lightweight product management background, or if you've been a BA, somebody who's technical enough to be dangerous but not necessarily a developer, and can speak business requirements on business terms with business people, because those are the people who are going to be able to design and execute a lot of these integrations, especially with the OEM software that we just signed a partnership with. So if any of these are you, or you think they might be you, or you're interested in talking about helping here, email Rob at blendededge.com, and we'd love to start that conversation as well. And that's all we got for a pitch. I appreciate everybody's time. Definitely check out our website. We have a blog with some really interesting content out there about integration for software companies. Follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We're making an effort to get that up and running here. And we'd love to have any conversations you guys want.